It's the start of the new GSL season for 2020, and I just want to say that it's been 10 years, 10 years since GSL started for Starcraft 2, and I've been playing Starcraft 1 since as far as I can remember. This was basically back when I was in 8th grade. How old was I? How old are you when you're in 8th grade? Like 12, 13 years old, right? And then Starcraft 2 came out when I was in grad school, which was on 2009, I believe, 2008 or 2009. It was either my second year or my third year going into grad school as a PT. And I can't believe that Starcraft has been out for the last, give or take, 11 or 12 years now. And this tournament is basically the considered like the number one tournament in Korea. Basically all the not anymore, but back in the day, Koreans were considered the best players for Starcraft for as long as we can remember. But now we have players like Cyril, who are like, basically he's a European player. I think he's from Finland or Sweden. Really, really good player. I just want to say thank you to all of the Starcraft pro players who continue to do this, as well as the hosts and the organizers, primarily the sponsors, right? So I think for this one, you have like LG. You have LG, a company called Hot 6, and Africa TV, which is similar to Twitch TV for Korea, right? And I'm just glad that this is continuing to go on just because of how, come on, let's face it, Starcraft 2 is probably the best esports game that's ever been made, all right? League of Legends, no. But the reason why I love Starcraft so much is just the amount of strategy that's involved, as well as the tactical actions that these players are able to create and produce. Like for example, this game, I already saw this game, but I just want to quickly show you how sick this game is, okay? So what this player is doing, the guy who's like this blue ball right here, he is the Protoss player SOS. Now, SOS is kind of considered the cheesy player. I don't know how to describe cheesy for those non-gamers. Like I don't really know how to explain the word cheesy, but it's kind of about like you're using strategies and tactics that are very unknown and very like people who just sorry, I can't really explain. So what I end up doing now, okay, so he ends up warping in these two units right here. These are called adepts. Now ideally you want to pair them up in two because they basically two-shot a worker. For those who are unfamiliar with an RTS type of game, the whole point of an RTS is obviously to win, right? But the real RTS stands for real-time strategy, by the way. But the whole point of this game is you start out with whatever race you want. In this case, you have what's called the alien race. The other side, you have a human race, right? You all start off with equal amount of workers, and you try to mine as much minerals and resources as possible to try to build up an army to essentially kill your other player, right? I'm not going to go into specifics as far as like how, what strategies and what tactics you need to use to basically outwit your opponent. But anyways, what this alien race guy ended up doing was he ended up building, we'll just call it a home base, okay? In this case, a nexus. A home base in the enemy's main base, right? You think of territories, right? This is imagine this is like one part of a map. On the other side, you have the other guy where you start off, right? So they're basically cross spawns. Cross spawns being you start off in one corner, this guy starting off in the other corner. So the distance to send your players from one end to the other end takes time. And also you have different strategies to make sure that your opponent does not get inside your base. Hence, we call it walling off, right? So make sure that the opponent's army cannot get inside your base to easily access and destroy the workers. So what this guy ends up doing, which is first time it's ever been done in a professional matchup, okay? He ends up building a nexus in the guy's base. That costs about 400 resources, and it's only been about 2 to 3 minutes, but it finally finished about 3 minutes ago. Timing is very important, by the way. Anyways, so what ended up happening is this building has a specific skill or spell called recall. He ends up recalling these two units, right? So now that, and you could tell, it's hard to see here, but the human opponents walled off their main base, so that means you cannot access their mineral line or their workers. So he ends up building a nexus here, and I'm repeating myself, builds a nexus here, recalls these two units, okay, and now you assume, okay, how much damage is this gonna do? He's gonna kill some workers, obviously workers are dying off here, but here's the crazy thing, okay? The alien race is building what's called a dark shrine. A dark shrine allows you to build a unit that's essentially invisible, and the only way to kill these invisible units is to make a detector unit, such as the Raven for the humans, or a turret. Or in this case, the human's main base has a skill called scan, right? Or what the hell, scanning, which allows you to essentially see invisible units. this unit right here is hidden from the human race. So what he's going to end up doing is building a pylon. The pylon has a skill, well, not necessarily a skill, but it has a range. And you upgrade this skill called Warp In, where you could basically warp in any gateway unit to pretty much anywhere that is within the pylon's radius, right? So he cannot see that. That's freaking genius. So he's gonna warp it in. So obviously the smart thing to do is for this human to send something there to see if there's anything going on that's like, you know, what are you doing, right? Like some type of hidden strategy. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it. So right now what they were checking is the amount of energy that this command center has so that they could scan. So now look, this person right here is warping in the Dark Templar, basically the invisible unit. And they have such a strong attack range that they basically one shot or, you know, one attack action kills a worker. And again, the whole point is to gather as much resources in the most efficient amount of time to build up a massive amount of army to kill your opponent. So look at this. Now this guy is not mining, okay? He's not mining. So what ends up happening is the invisible units get outside of what's called the scan range. So that way he wasted a scan, so therefore he doesn't have enough energy to rescan again. All the while he's not mining, he's losing time, he's losing resources. And think about what the opponent is doing. So while all this is going on, he's doing his own shit down here, right? He's building his army, he's building a better infrastructure, more gateways to continue to build up a massive army to eventually overtake and win your opponent. But obviously we don't get to that point. It's because the human race knows that he's really, really far behind. And at this point, the guy had 19 workers to 42 workers. So it's basically almost a 50% discrepancy as far as how much you get to build. And that's why I love the game of Starcraft so much. It's because of the amount of strategy that's involved, the amount of tactics, skill, and just the overall mechanics of how things are going around in real time. And there's these videos where you see this like players who are like moving their hands so quickly, so fast, and so methodically that it's such a beautiful thing to watch. And considering that I used to play Starcraft back when I was younger, Starcraft 2, I stopped playing about 2 years ago. Obviously not professionally, but more for fun. But the things that these guys can do, and women, there's actually one woman who's playing, you have to admire it because of just how much tenacity, how much grit a person needs to have in order to play and successfully compete in this game. And the one thing that this game has is what's called ladder anxiety. And I know my StarCraft 2 players, we all experience that, where basically what ladder anxiety is that you, prior to starting a game, you kind of get nervous, like, oh God, do I hit that start button? Like, do I hit that go button? Primarily because this game is basically by far the hardest, considered one of the hardest esports games ever created, because you don't have a team. You're essentially playing against one other person. And a lot of times people don't want to, at least for me, right? You're putting essentially your pride out there. Like, oh God, I'm putting my skill level against this other guy's skill level, and I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. I mean, this is kind of contradictory to how you have to lose in order to understand what you're doing wrong, so you can get better and kind of play, take what you learn to win. But ladder anxiety is such a weird thing, and I'm pretty sure this happens and occurs in all other games as well, like Overwatch, for example, League of Legends, I'm sure, Counter-Strike, just every type of esport where you have to play, hit that go, or like let's start and play, because it's just, you're putting essentially yourself out there. But it's not as hard because essentially if you're playing a game where you have teammates, you could just say, it's your fault that we lost. But in StarCraft, the only person you can blame is yourself. And that's why it's hard for a lot of people to just start the game and say, you know what, they don't want to lose, so rather I'm just going to play 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, right? Easier said than done. Anyways, just happy birthday, not happy birthday, it was happy 10 years to StarCraft, GSL, and I hope we get another 10 years because you guys continue to do well and just continue to keep producing great content, because people like me who are in my 30s now, who used to watch us back when I was, in my 20s, 10 years, let's keep it up. All right, happy birthday, I guess, GSL, or happy 10th decade, all right?